We are back. Sam Seder on the Majority Report. Emma Vigeland out today. Real pleasure to welcome back to the program Michelle Eisen. She's an organizing member of the Starbucks Workers United. I think we've spoken. I think we were just saying this is our third time, and we've spoken through the different stages of your unionization process. And Madi Oates, shift supervisor and bargaining delegate for Starbucks Workers United, based in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Guys, welcome to the program. Madi, let's start with you because this is, and then we can go to Michelle, who I know is also about to literally jump back into negotiations. But tell us about this big win for parental paid leave. This seems like a big deal.
Yeah, this is a huge deal. When I woke up yesterday morning and my phone was blowing up with news of this groundbreaking change for the entire company, I mean, it was amazing. But that started with us. A month ago, we brought this forward to the company, what their current policies are. Retail workers such as us that work in the stores, we only got paid 6 weeks paid maternity leave, 8 weeks for cesarean section, and up to 12 weeks unpaid time, where non-retail workers such as corporate, they already were receiving the 18 weeks of paid leave. So we brought this forward to them at the table and we were like, we all deserve this. Like, what makes your child more important than mine? So waking up yesterday with the feeling that they heard us at the table, they made this change for all workers. And it's amazing. The best feeling ever, really.
I mean, that's a huge win. I mean, it's also, I guess when you phrase it that way to them, they're like, it's sort of hard to justify why the executives who probably also have the ability to have the money to hire, help in a way that workers may not in terms of their kids. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Michelle, before we start talking about like sort of the other aspects of what's going on right now, that's going to be a big deal. I mean, if Maddie's going to be able to get a paid parental leave for 18 weeks, and I believe it's like spouses and partners can get it for 12, if they're not the one to have to have the child, this is going to be a big deal, not just for people working at Starbucks. I got to imagine if I'm, I don't know, across the street at, whatever it is, Joe's Coffee, or I'm working at the supermarket or wherever, I'm going to be looking to this and saying, like, wait a second, if they can afford to do this, why can't we afford to do this?
Yeah, I mean, this should change the standard across the board, especially for service workers. I mean, the fact that it's not like this is not to demean anybody's profession or anybody's job, but when you do what we do daily, it's not like you're having a child and then you get 6 weeks paid leave and then you go back to your desk job where at the very least you get to like sit. It is a very physically demanding job that we're asking these new parents to come in and do right after they've, birthed a child or multiple children or, had a cesarean section or anything like that. So absolutely, at the very least, we need that extra time. These are not jobs. These are not stores where it is easy to come back from having a child. I know that Madi also has stories about, her ability to pump milk in a place in the store once she returned to work. And the fact that the company, that space couldn't be provided for her. I think we have to look at new parents as from the business standpoint of bringing new parents back into the workforce and how we can support them. That should be a priority. And it looks like, at least with this recent change, that Starbucks is starting to view that and understand. And this was a win for every Starbucks worker. Yes, it was. We are absolutely taking credit for this. Madi sat across the table a month ago from the company and highlighted the fact that there was a huge disparity between what corporate members received in support after having a child and what us hourly workers received. And then lo and behold, the company's like, oh, we're going to give this to everybody. Great. We're glad that everybody got it. But, credit should be due to the union for highlighting that and bringing it to the forefront of these conversations.
And we'll get back to this in a minute, but I imagine it's not a coincidence in terms of like the timing of both the strike authorization vote and the bargaining that's going on. But Madi, give me a sense of to the extent that you may have experienced coming back early after having a kid, or coworkers, just for those who don't have a sense of what that's like. I mean, because it's not a situation where you're at a desk. Again, all due respect, I sit at a desk. You have the opportunity to, I'm going to take 5 minutes to, I can change the pace of my work. If you're working at Starbucks, you have no control over the pace or being able to take a random break when you need it in that moment. And having been a parent twice over myself, you get no sleep. And you're exhausted. But tell me your experience.
Yeah, I can speak to this very well. So last year, as I organized my store to unionize, I was pregnant with my third daughter. And I had to deal with union busting left and right. We won our election. We demanded more hours. The company cut my hours as a full-time worker for over 5 years at this point. I was working 36 to 40 hours plus a week and was cut down to 20, 22 hours. My ability never changed at work. Sure, I slowly got bigger, but I always came to work and performed above and beyond for my team. I was forced to work 2-man plays, which is when there's only 2 people working the entire store. I was still performing full duties, lifting heavy ice, lifting mats to clean floors. I gave birth a year ago today. Today's my daughter's first birthday, and I'm here.
Happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday, Fox. So I was working during the holiday season, though, which is one of our busiest times of year. I had to go on my maternity leave early due to health complications. I was injured when I had my daughter. They messed my epidural up twice. So the 6 weeks I was given by the company just wasn't enough. I thankfully saved all my vacation time for the year, and took an extra 2 weeks off with my daughter. So I got 2 months with her, with a back injury, coming back to work, full duties. I was also trying to, pump for my daughter, and the only place in my building that had a locking door was my bathroom. So I was not going to be pumping milk for my daughter out of our bathroom, I also wasn't given the space or the time to be able to take breaks that I needed to be able to do this for my daughter. So, it's rough coming back to work, but if I would have had this experience of 18 weeks, I feel the whole experience would have been different. I could have focused on healing and actually being able to take the time to go to the doctor to get help, establishing a full pumping routine for my daughter. It would have brought such a better experience for myself. So it's empowering knowing that all workers have this opportunity now.
Michelle, I want you to give us a little bit of an update about what's happening in terms of negotiation to the extent that you can. But first, the idea of Madi talking about this stuff, and I don't know, maybe Madi's planning on having a fourth kid, but this is a benefit that's going to people that she may not benefit from, but she's out there fighting for it just based upon her experience. I mean, that is sort of the seems to me to be the sort of the fundamental building block of the of what the union does just in general.
Yeah, I mean, that is the labor movement, right? It is fighting for rights for all of the working class, whether or not you may personally have an opportunity to benefit from it, because providing for all of us raises all of us up, right? And yes, all Starbucks workers are receiving this benefit, and we wouldn't want it to be any other way. We would not have wanted this amazing benefit to just go to the union workers. However, the union workers are the only ones who are protected from having that benefit taken away, right? If in 2 years the company reassesses and decides this is just too expensive for us to keep providing this level of leave for all of our workers, they can come and they can take that away, but they can't take that away from the union workers. That's the difference between having a union contract and having those rights preserved in that contract and not having a union contract. Do we hope that that's a decision that Starbucks makes? No, we don't. But we've seen it happen before. I've been with the company 14 years. I can tell you that there are benefits that the company offered when I started that they do not offer anymore because we didn't have a union, we didn't have them preserved in a contract, and they were able to come in and make those changes. We are trying to prevent that from happening in the future.
I think the first time we spoke, there may have been a dozen members of the union. How many Starbucks workers are now unionized a couple years later? And then tell us about what those workers have authorized and where you're at to the extent that you can in these negotiations. I know that you literally have to go there in about 5 minutes.
Madi and I are both bargaining delegates for our stores. I am store number 1. So I think probably the first time we talked, it was maybe around that time. This was 3 years ago. We just hit the 3-year milestone on December 9th. I believe Madi's store was number 385 or somewhere around there. And as of today, I think we're at 529. I don't know if you heard the news, but our latest store to join the union is located in Starbucks headquarter building in Seattle. We won that store yesterday.
That's fun.
We're over 10,000 members. So there are over 10,000 unionized Starbucks workers as of today. Just slightly over 3 years from when we won that first store. And just this year alone, we've organized over 150 new stores, since January 1st of 2024.
And how many more stores are left? Like how many more, if there's 10,000 that have now unionized, how many are extant?
Well, that's 10,000 workers. So
10,000 workers, right.
529 stores. There's a lot of stores in the U.S. alone. I think there's, just under 9,000.
Wow.
So the union represents about 5% of the retail workers in the U.S., which is not an inconsequential number, but it's a percentage. I think what we've seen and what is still unbelievably hopeful and shocking to me every single day is that more workers choose to join this fight. They recognize how important it is to be a member of a union, to be able to stand up with your workers. For years, we watched the company come in and change policy. There were never hourly workers at the tables or in the rooms where these decisions were being made. And for the first time, we have an opportunity to do just what Madi did, to sit across the table from the people making the decisions and highlight our needs and watch them be addressed. And I think Starbucks workers are saying, yeah, we need that. We absolutely need that. We know how to run these stores better than anybody because we're the ones doing it. And so our voices absolutely matter when we're talking about practice and policy and everything that goes into doing our job and to making the company successful, right? The company needs to invest in its hourly workers because we invest so much in the company and we are the ones making it run, keeping it successful, keeping it, at the top. It is, you think coffee and you think Starbucks. There's no, it's very rare for someone to say, I'm going to go get a coffee, and for you not to immediately think, oh, they're probably going to Starbucks. So it's important that the company recognizes our value.
And so what, just give me the broad strokes of the parameters, what is being negotiated right now? I know there's been a strike authorization that was voted. I think it was announced today or the results of that election. Or I should say that vote. What are the just broad stroke parameters to the extent that you can talk about it? Because like I say, I know both you guys are involved in these negotiations.
Yes, I will. I just got the signal that we're going to have to wrap. So I will go into all of that to the best of my ability. 98% of our members did vote to authorize a strike if necessary. We are still in bargaining with the company. We've been bargaining for months. Both parties are showing up. We're very proud of the progress on both sides in terms of the non-economic things that have been addressed. Without going into any details, we are ecstatic about a lot of the non-economic things that have been already settled to the best of, how that works in bargaining. But the company needs to show up with a comprehensive economic proposal package, and they need to settle the hundreds of unfair labor practice charges that are still standing. You know, when the company came to us in February and said, we're gonna turn over any leaf, we want to work together on this foundational framework that's, you know, all these stores can then vote on in their contract. Part of the deal was that all of the outstanding litigation also be settled, and there's a lot of outstanding litigation in the form of unfair labor practices. But they've also invested this year, you know, we've seen them invest in the company. We have this new CEO. His compensation package is the equivalent of about $57,000 an hour, which is about 10,000 times more an hour than the average barista makes. And we would like to see that investment in the baristas. You know, like I said, we're the ones who make everything run. We're very proud to do that, but we need to acknowledge the value of our labor and our work within this company. So that's where we are right now. We need them to come with a comprehensive economic package that is acceptable and shows our value within the company. And we need this outstanding litigation to be settled so that we can all move forward together in in a partnership, which is what both sides truly do want, I believe.
Lastly, if I'm working at a Starbucks right now and my shop is not unionized, how do I go about doing that?
We are very, very, very active on social media. Our Twitter, I think it's SB Workers United for our Instagram and our Twitter. If you still do Facebook, we've got a Facebook page as well. And then we've got our website, our Starbucks Workers United website, which has all of that information. You just have to reach out, and anyone would be more than happy to get that process started.
Great. Well, guys, thanks so much. Madi Oates, Michelle Eisen, congrats on the paid parental leave. That's a great thing to have happen and you've done it for literally tens of thousands of people across the country. And it's going to have, like I say, it's going to have a knock-on effect. I'm convinced in other businesses. Appreciate the work. Appreciate you guys coming on. I know you got to get back to work in negotiating this. But we will put links to all those things you mentioned at majority.fm and in our podcast and YouTube descriptions. Thanks again.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.